One of the most secure ways you can feel taken care of when it comes to your money is having an emergency fund. So listen, emergencies are gonna happen, and here's a way to bulletproof your emergency fund. Emergency funds are wonderful. If you haven't been around this vlog for very long, I always teach people to get a $1,000 emergency fund first and foremost, the very first thing you ever do. Get out of debt, everything but your house, and then bump up that starter emergency fund to 3 to 6 months of expenses. And listen, I don't know if it's just the ladies out there, maybe some of you guys feel this way, but as a woman, I can tell you, having an emergency fund is like a breath of fresh air. Like once Winston and I got that in place, it was like, okay. If something were to happen and everything, just goes down the drain, we have 6 months saved that is here and we're gonna be okay. It's huge to be able to get this, but you wanna make sure that you actually keep your emergency fund. So here are ways to make sure that your emergency fund is bulletproof. The first is don't keep this just in your checking or savings account. Here's the deal. If this is an account or a bank that you primarily use and you keep pulling it up every day to look at transactions or that kind of thing, it may be tempting for you to be like, we'll just take some of that emergency fund and we'll use it here. Or if it's sitting in your checking, oh, good Lord, it's gonna get spent. Let's just be honest. Really, taking it out and putting it somewhere different. I'm even to the extreme case, because this is what Winston and I do. We have it with a completely different bank because I'm like, I don't even want the temptation of being able to easily get to it. And that's the key, is you wanna be able to get to it. So you want your emergency fund accessible, but not so accessible that it's easily dipped out of. So for me, it's good just to have them completely separate. Number 2, emotionally unplug from it. Okay, as a spender, this is something I've had to do. Winston and I, at the beginning of our whole journey as we got married and stuff, I'd be like, okay, how much money do we have in savings? And he would always say the amount, because he would look it up on his phone and he would count the emergency fund in our savings. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we're rich. Not really, but I'm like, dang, we can do so much stuff. He's like, well, no, such and such is part of for our emergency fund. I'm like, oh man, okay. And so for me, I honestly I just want it completely separate. So when we talk about our savings that we have, we don't even talk about the emergency fund. It's in its own little line item, and we don't even say it. We act like it's not even there. And so emotionally unplugging from it as a spender is great for me, because I can look forward to see things that we are saving up for. But again, that it's not too emotionally unplugged, because if an emergency happens, use your emergency fund. That's what it's there for. But I act like we don't even have one. But I know we do, so I can sleep well at night. Another way to bulletproof your emergency fund is to actually know what an emergency is, okay? So one day if you're like, oh my gosh, we could Airbnb our house and then just go to Hawaii that week instead. We'll just take it out of the emergency fund, and when we get the funds from Airbnb, we'll just fund it back. No, that's not an emergency. Don't touch it. Or, oh, we really want to upgrade our house. Okay, we have some money saved, but if we take our emergency fund, then we can really get a great down payment. No, that's not an emergency. An emergency fund is when things come up that you cannot afford to pay for if things are just not, extra funds are just in your checking account, okay? This is for stuff, big stuff usually, that come up. Car trouble, heating and air goes out, all these type of things that happen, and you're like, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? Well, the emergency fund, that's what it's there for. Only for emergencies. Vacation is not an emergency. Down payment on a house, not an emergency. Emergency. I feel like I could go back to my cheerleading days, but we won't. And last but not least, for those of you that maybe are working towards the emergency fund, is I want you to stay intense and focused through this step. Because a lot of people, they're willing to sacrifice lifestyle and do things like get an extra job as they're getting out of debt, but then once they're debt-free, they're like, we're done. Listen, I want that same intensity through the next step, which is 3 to 6 months of expenses saved in the bank, your fully funded emergency fund. So stay intense and stay focused. And it's helpful to look at your expenses and say, okay, per month, this is what we need to live on. And then multiply that by 3 or by 5, 6, whatever you decide, between 3 and 6 months, and have an actual dollar amount that you're shooting for. Having that goal in mind is huge, because you can back your way out of it, stay intense, and actually when it's hit, you're like, okay, we did it. And so I want you to be able to get to that point to move on to baby steps 4, 5, and 6. And if some of you out there are like, oh, wow, I need an emergency fund and you need some cash to kind of get this kick started, check out my 14-day money finder. You can click the link below. People are finding up to $2,000 a year. So it's just a really easy way, kind of a challenge to look at your life and be like, hey, where can we save money? So make sure to check that out. Hey, YouTube, thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and check out this other great video.